What's up, everyone? Doing a little bit of an impromptu stream today. I was bored. I knew I was going to be free tonight, and this is something I've been wanting to talk about a little bit, kind of a ranking of the teams that are going to be at the in-season tournament. So, just doing that a bit, talking about where I think the Thunder rank in there, along with answering whatever questions that you guys have for me regarding the team. So when you guys hop in here, just say what's up. Drop in some questions. I'll answer them later at the end. But really, just talking about the in-season tournament as a whole, the bracket itself, what's going on, and overall, my thoughts on it going into it. So, as we all know, Thunder are going to be playing on December 10th. A home game. We got the 1 seed somehow. I don't know how we did that after losing to the San Antonio Spurs. I had no faith that we were going to get that 1 seed spot, but somehow we did. Somehow we ended up with it, so that's nice to see. So now we're going to play the Dallas Mavericks, who have been on a little bit of a hot streak. And so that is going to be a little bit tricky. All right, they're healthy now. They're just going on a little bit of a hot streak here. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think we're the favorites in that game right now. We're the favorites to win. ESPN is giving us a 63% chance to win according to ESPN Analytics, looking at stats, matchups, previous experiences, this year's stats as well as team stats. So that is interesting to look at right there. The only worry is, of course, the fact that they have PJ Washington. That is like the only worry, for me at least. I'm not necessarily worried about Luka, not necessarily worried about Kyrie, as long as we limit Luka to like 25, which we did in the playoffs. So I don't think there should really be any difference right there. I think we'll be okay. Kyrie, limit him to 20 as well, which I think we can do. That'll be okay. It's just a matter of figuring out if we can find a way to stop PJ Washington, as he seems to have some sort of vendetta against OKC. So that is the big question mark right there. Can we stop PJ Washington? And that's a big question, all right? I really don't know. It's weird, all right? I don't know. It's kind of weird to look at it. I don't know if we can at this point. We've done everything we could to stop this guy, and his career averages against OKC are kind of insane as well, if I remember correctly. Let me try to find his career averages against OKC real quick. Let me try to find that. Career average against OKC. All right, MPJ Washington's career, he's averaged 17 points, 6.8 rebounds, and 1.5 assists against the Thunder. This year, he's averaging 12 points a game. Kind of absurd when you ask me what he's been doing. This is just insane to me that he's just always going out against OKC. So that is a little bit weird when I look at it. But like I mentioned, not really worried about Luka, not really worried about Kyrie. I think we have ways to stop them with how good our defense is. When you look at it, Alex Caruso being back, that is a huge, huge thing for the Thunder. Because when I wrote about it, talking about Alex Caruso, it's the fact that we have another deadly defender on this team now, which can really limit what Luka and Kyrie can do to get other people open. They're going to try to swing the ball around and get Klay and PJ Washington going as early as possible, in my opinion. I think that's what they're going to try to do. So I think having Caruso there to read the passing lanes along with Cason Wallace, I think Cason Wallace should get the start. I'm going to go ahead and say that right now. I think Cason Wallace should get the start. Put him on Kyrie. I think he can do, I don't want to say really good. He can hold his own against Kyrie, though. He is really blossom as a defender. So, what do you guys said so far? PJ Washington always has the game of his life when it comes to the Thunder. It's weird. I did see something about his baby mama being from OKC, and that may be why. So that could be why he always goes off against OKC. Top defense in the league, OKC versus what will likely be top offense in the West. Dallas would make for a great rematch come playoff time. I'm excited for that as well. It wouldn't surprise me if we see that in like the conference finals. All right, if it's OKC and Dallas in the conference finals. Would not surprise me at all. So it's gonna be interesting to look for. All right, it's gonna be really interesting to look for. Room's starting to heat up now. Oh, it was really cold in here. For some reason, my AC was set at like 62, and I am freezing my ass off in here, man. Like, I don't know what was going on with it, why it had to be so cold. So I had to turn it back up. It's like at 68 now. Starting to go up a little bit. But like I mentioned, it's going to be a tough matchup. It's not going to be like easy by any means. All right. Dallas is never going to be an easy matchup. I think it's a clear cut. OKC number 1 in the West, Dallas number 2 in the West. I think that's clear cut. Everyone should know that we are the 2 best teams in the Western Conference. If you disagree with me on that, I don't know why. I think clearly when you're looking at roster, how it's built and with the style of play that they do, how they go, I think it's clear cut. Those are our 2 best teams. No doubt about that in my mind. I guess you could also try to make a case for the Rockets. I kind of get that, but not really. They're still really young. It's kind of like what the Rockets are going through, what OKC is going through, what happened with them last year. All right, OKC overperformed at everyone's standards last year, got the number 1 seed, then lost in the second round of the playoffs because they didn't have any playoff experience. It's going to be the same thing with the Houston Rockets. Okay, they're going to finish as like the 3rd or 4th seed somehow, have a really good year where they exceed expectations, and they might get bounced in the first round because they just don't have playoff experience. So that's what I'm kind of seeing with the Rockets. But going back to this Dallas OKC matchup that we're talking about right here, it's going to be a fun game. All right. It just comes down to how many turnovers can we force. All right. That's what's going to come down to. Like, let's look at Luka. How many turnovers is he averaging right now in game? How many? He's played 17 games so far, and he's averaging 3 turnovers a game. If we can get him to force like 4 or 5 turnovers in the game, huge. That's going to help us win a ton right there, along with limiting him to like 40% shooting from the field, which I think the combination of Dort and Caruso, those guys switching off on Luka Doncic the entire game, I think that could really help us win that game. All right, having those 2 guys on him constantly, that's going to be huge for us going into this game. Other guys, let's go to Kyrie Irving, another key contributor for that team. Their second option. He's actually been having a really solid year, if I remember correctly. Let me check out the stats real quick. Kyrie, he's averaging 24 points a game. He's having a little bit of resurgence this year, right? He's been playing very well. He's played in 21 games, started in all 21 of them. He's only missed 1 game this year, but he's averaging 24 and 5 a game. Really solid from him. Really, really solid performances from him, along with a steal a game. All right, he's been playing very well. He's only averaging 2 turnovers a game, so it's interesting to look out for watching Kyrie Irving right there. If we can have him force like 3 or 4 turnovers, and he doesn't really turn over the ball much either due to his tight handle. But if somehow we can pull that off, get him to force 3 or 4 turnovers, if we can get Luka and Kyrie to combine for 8 or 9 turnovers right there, I think we win that game. We got to win the turnover battle. We got to keep doing what we're doing there, okay? As long as we limit their scoring just a little bit below what they usually average, like Luka to 25, Kyrie to 20, and along with 8 to 9 turnovers combined with those 2, I think we win this game. I think so, as long as we find out a way for PJ Washington. Scott said Najee Marshall is also a player to look out for. He is. No doubt about that in my mind. Najee Marshall is a guy to look out for. Often forgot about, by the way. So right now, he's averaging 24 minutes a game, and he's averaging 11 points. All right, he's not a bad player. He's also a really good defender. It doesn't show up in the stats all that much. It's very similar to what Lou Dort has been doing for the past few years. He's a really good defender. It just doesn't show up in the box score. It doesn't show up there. He doesn't get a ton of steals, doesn't get a ton of blocks, but he forces a ton of turnovers and forces a ton of bad shots. He is a very good defender. However, we've seen it before. We saw it in the playoff series against the Pelicans, if I remember correctly. He couldn't stop Shai. They don't have anyone on that team that can stop Shai. We saw it in the second round as well when we played the Mavs. They didn't have anyone that could stop Shai. We saw it in the first round when Najee Marshall guarded him. No one can stop Shai. As long as Shai goes out there and gets 35 points, that's going to be a good outing from him. I think he can do that. He averaged 33 against the Mavs in the playoffs. No different. No different. He can still go out there and do his thing, and it's also a matter of if Dub is having a good night as well. All right. Also, other guys to look out for, I will say this. Derek Lively. He has gotten 11 starts this year, played in 18 games. People sleep on him a bunch. I really like Derek Lively. I know that's kind of, a weird thing to say as a Thunder fan, saying like, I like Derek Lively. I truly do. All right. Great personality off the court. Okay. He's a great guy. And his story is insane. He's also a good center. He's not all-star level, But he is a center that like everyone should want on their team. He's just going to do the gritty stuff and get down low and get to work in the paint. Every team should have that kind of guy and should want someone like that. So it's interesting to kind of look at with him. And like he's not averaging a ton of points. He's averaging 9 points a game, along with 7.5 rebounds, while also a block and a half. And he's not turning the ball over much, all right? The only thing is we got to get him to foul. We got to get their centers in foul trouble. And I think that's going to be, two big things for that game. Force Luka and Kyrie to turn over the ball, all right? And then force the combination of Lively and Gafford to get into foul trouble. That's the thing. What have some other people said? Shai is him. Yeah, I agree, Austin. Shai is the MVP. We will keep pushing that this year. Shai is the MVP. J-Dub is an all-NBA caliber player. We're going to keep pushing all this stuff this year. The last game versus Mavs was kind of tight with no center, so I think with Hartenstein will be more easy. You also got to remember they were without Luka in that game. Okay, you got to keep that in mind. They were without Luka. So, yes, we were missing, Hartenstein. They were also missing their actual best player. So it's going to be interesting to see. We were also missing our second best player, or at least in the time of the season, was our second best player, and Chet, and also missing Hartenstein. So it's going to be interesting to see, along with some other big things regarding that game. Might be getting J-Will back. J-Will might be back for that game. He's still listed as out. He's not going to play against the Pelicans, but it wouldn't surprise me right now if J-Will is actually healthy and they're waiting on him to put him in a home game against the Dallas Mavericks. That's going to be an insane adrenaline boost. The environment and crowd's going to be great, going crazy. It's going to be like a playoff crowd in there. It's going to be absolutely crazy. I think that's going to be a good time to bring J-Will back and bring that size. So, OKC history. Austin helping us out here. Jalen Williams, J-Dub is now 10 on time on scoring list for Oklahoma City Thunder. He passed Mr. Thunder, Nick Collison, last night. Congrats to him. Dub's been absolutely insane. Like we mentioned, all-NBA caliber player this year. So, but like I mentioned, those are the two key things that I'm looking at least defensively, for this game. Get Luka and Kyrie to turn over the ball combined like 8 or 9 times. All right. Luka does turn over the ball quite a bit. Kyrie, it's a little bit more difficult, but with how good our defense is, wouldn't surprise me if we jump in the passing lane a few times to, steal some passes from Kyrie Irving. And then also, like I mentioned, get Lively and Gafford into foul trouble early on. That's what I'm looking at. Let's look at the Thunder now. Let's look at that matchup and everything regarding the Thunder. Let's see if I can find it. Let me find the schedule real quick. Go to that game. Boom. It's also going to be nationally televised because it is in-season tournament. Yeah. Like I mentioned, it's going to be all about Shai and Dub working together. Shai's going to have to drop 30 to 35 points. Dub, he's going to have to drop around 25 as well. He's going to have a really good outing. Then also, what are we going to do with Isaiah Hartenstein? That's going to be the big question. What are we going to do with Isaiah Hartenstein? Like, can we actually get him involved? Are we going to use the pick and roll to our advantage there now that we have some size? Because we weren't really using the pick and roll last night against the Toronto Raptors. That wasn't happening for some reason. We weren't using that pick and roll option, which I thought we should have capitalized off of more, considering they didn't have any size to play against us. I thought surely we were going to keep on attacking inside of iHeart so he can get he would have finished with 10 to 15 points, but we ended up not doing that. No problem with that whatsoever because we still got the victory by 30 points, as you guys can see. It's just interesting to look at. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird to see right there. All right, that's kind of weird to see that happening, but it's fine. It's okay. We still got the victory. But like I mentioned, J-Will, if he can be back, that's going to be a huge game changer for this team. If J-Will can be back, and I think he can, his expected return date right now is December 10th, this game. He's been, kind of questionable. ESPN listed him as, game time decisions, day-to-day decisions, Technically, there isn't day-to-day or game time decisions out there. There is, but the true injury report that, goes on NBA.com, it's questionable, out, unlikely, stuff like that. But there are game time decisions and day-to-day stuff. Pretty much protocol, what you're going through. Okay, The team will say, like, yeah, he's day to day, we'll figure something out, and it'll be listed as questionable on the report. Also, when they say, like, yeah, it's a game time decision for us, same thing, he's just listed as questionable. So that's all. But Jalen Williams, I think he can be back. It's around that 5th, 6-week period for his reevaluation, so it's going to be a storyline that we need to look out for. And like I mentioned, writing about it, it'd be huge for him to come back. It'd be huge considering we now add another center into the lineup. That way, when Isaiah Hartenstein has to sit the bench, we don't have to run small ball right there, especially against the Mavericks who have a bigger lineup. It's going to be nice to have that center back, if he is back there, to throw in more size and keep competing in the paint. That's why we need J. Will back. Not to mention, he's the charge king. All right, he takes charges better than anyone else in the league. So that'd be really big to have that back defensively, to get their centers and guys that really attack, like Luka and like Derek Lively, get them in foul trouble, like I mentioned. That'd be huge to have him back for that, taking those charges and, commit all-star fouls. Or not all-star fouls. I just saw all-star season for J-Dub, but, offensive fouls. And so it's going to be interesting to see. Not to mention, if we get the pick and roll established with Isaiah Hartenstein, sub in J. Will, who's not known to pick and roll, all right, they're going to be so used to running that pick and roll option with Hartenstein that they forget now it's J. Will. He's more of a pick and pop guy. He can shoot that 3-ball. He shot the 3-ball 37% last season. So getting him back helps us out offensively with the 3-ball and pick and pop option, and defensively because it gives us another rebounder and guy that's going to take charges and get their players in foul trouble, help us out early on. All the Mav games were close. It's just PJ Washington always going Jordan mode against us. That's what we're going to have to figure out. I don't think we had Alex Caruso that game either, so having him back will help us out as well. It's just purely going to be based, we win that game if our defense, does their job and does what they're always, used to doing. That's the thing, all right? We win that game based off of that if we can do that. So it's going to be interesting to look out for the entire time. That's kind of what we're looking for. Let's look at some other games, though. All right, we're going to look at all the other games and because potentially we're going to play all these other teams as well. So the other December 10th game, the game before us in the NBA Cup, is the Orlando Magic at the Milwaukee Bucks. I think the Magic should dominate that game. I think they should. I think they should win that game. Bucks are an all right team. They're not bad, but they're not great. They're good. Don't get me wrong. They're a good team. It's just the Magic have been doing something special lately with Franz. That I think that they can get it, all right? I think that they can get it right there. Then Wednesday, December 11th. Sorry if you guys hear the sirens. Boston is going crazy. It's like Gotham City outside right now. What is actually going on, man? What is going on right now? Jesus. Someone dying? Oh my gosh. It's absurd. Absolutely absurd how loud the sirens are right now. Like I mentioned, December 11th game. All right. It's Hawks-Knicks. I like the Knicks to win that game. I do. Hawks aren't bad, but I don't think they're better than Knicks. I think Knicks should win that by 20. All right. They should win it by double digits at least. And then Warriors-Rockets. Something I noticed about the West, it's a bunch of teams that just hate each other. All right. Or at least the fan bases hate each other. I know Thunder fans still hate the Warriors and Mavericks. I'm indifferent to the Rockets. I could care less. All right, I really don't. They think it's a rivalry. I could care less about Houston. I really could. All right, Houston, I don't care about them. I don't. But Houston fans, they hate Dallas and OKC fans. All right, Warriors fans, they hate Dallas fans as well. So all the fan bases kind of hate each other in this Western, conference NBA in-season tournament. So it's going to be interesting to see for that right there. So I saw your question, Austin. Who have Thunder played most in playoffs? A little trivia. That's a good question. I would say the Spurs. I think it's the Spurs, but I think that Warriors-Rockets game is interesting. That Warriors-Rockets game is very, very interesting to me because it comes down to, is Stephen Curry going to be healthy? He missed the game last night, and that's why the Rockets, and the Warriors still beat them. But I think if he's not healthy, Warriors will have it figured out. And so Warriors would have it figured out if he's healthy. He might play in their next game, which is tonight, I believe. Who do they play tonight? Who do they play tonight? The Timberwolves. So we'll see if he's healthy to go for this game. It's just going to be interesting to see if they have Curry back. Then I think they beat the Rockets. If not, I think the Rockets win that game. So just a bunch of things that we got to look out for there. And even then, I think no matter what, we beat both teams healthy. So I think as long as we get past Dallas, which I think we should, we make it to the championship game. All right? We just have to get past Dallas, and I think we can easily take on Houston and Golden State. And so it'll be interesting, kind of be on the lookout for right there. There's just a bunch of storylines to kind of look for. And I think we play the Knicks in the championship game. I think the Knicks will make it. And it's going to be the Isaiah Hartenstein Cup. All right. Playing his previous team. I think that'll make for a good storyline as well, concerning how well he's been playing with OKC. So just some, food for your thought right there. But that's pretty much the preview I got for the NBA in-season tournament. If I had to do a ranking of the teams, though, if I had to do a rankings of the team, let's go to the cup bracket. I would say my rankings personally go Hawks at 8. It's not like they're a horrible team, all right? Just keep in mind here. All these teams are decent teams in the cup. So if any Hawks fans are in here, which I highly doubt, I hope it's all Thunder people, but if any, other fan bases are here, don't come after my head for this. But I had the Hawks at 8. Like, they're all right. I just don't think they're on, I don't think they're on the same kind of playing field as the rest of the teams. Okay? Just going to be honest about that. They've had some impressive wins, but they've had some really, really bad losses. So let's keep that in there right now. Like, and it's like you said right there just now. Hawks are interesting. Very interesting because the only 2 Washington Wizards wins came against the Atlanta Hawks. Those were their only wins. All right? And the Cleveland Cavaliers, 2 of their losses came against the Atlanta Hawks. So they're an interesting team that can't figure out what they want to do. And I just don't think they're on the same page as every other team here. At number 7, I'm going to have to go with Milwaukee. Even though they're the 1 seed in the East, I don't see them as good as everyone else. All right? The Eastern Conference is very weak this year. And so I have the Bucks at 7. At 6, I'm going to go with the Warriors. Just because the question is they're an older team, and also injuries are plaguing them right now, that they're about to bottom out a little bit. And so it's just about that time that they do. So I have them at 6 because of that. At 5, I'm going with the Magic. I think the Magic are a very good team. They're one of my sleepers in the Eastern Conference. But just due to the level of intensity that the Western Conference teams play with, I can't put them any higher than 4. I can't. So they're going to be at 5 for me. At number 4, I have Houston. Like I mentioned, young team. All right. This is going to be the first, real playoff, kind of environment that they're going to be in. They are the home team. But even then, playing in front of a home crowd in the playoff environment can still be tricky because you're not going to have clear thoughts. You're going to be playing purely off of adrenaline. And so I'm interested to see how they play with that right there. At number 3, I have the Knicks. The Knicks are a really good team, okay? They're just not better than the other 2 teams I have left in the Western Conference. They're finally figuring out how to play with each other. Duo of Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns is starting to look really, really solid. I just don't think they're on the same page as, the top 2 teams in the Western Conference, in my opinion. Maybe even top 3 if we want to go that far. It was really close between them and Houston. It just comes down to experience and age for me. So that's why I have the Knicks at 3. Number 2, Dallas Mavericks. I don't think I have to say much for that reasoning at all. They have an MVP level player in Luka Doncic. They have one of the better point guards of all time in Kyrie Irving. All right. One of the best shooters of all time in Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, who likes to go off against the Thunder for some reason, and they have size. They have a good young center in Derek Lively. Okay. That's why I have them at 2. The only reason they're not at 1 is because of how good the defensive unit is in OKC. All right. And so it's interesting. It's interesting looking at the Dallas Mavericks in that light They have a really good offense, but the defense is not nearly as good as OKC's. All right. No defense is going to be as close to OKC's is. All right. Let's be honest about that. But it's the fact that our defense is so good that I put us higher than Dallas Mavericks. I think that kind of separates us. When our offense is on, we can compete with the best offenses in the league as well. So that's why I have the Thunder at 1 over the Mavericks. All right. And it might be a little bit of biasy. You can go ahead and say that. But just purely looking at the defensive prowess of this team, I have to put the Thunder at 1. This defense could be historic. That's what we're seeing right now. There is a good chance this team finishes with more steals than turnovers this season, and that's never been done in NBA history. We already have a better net rating at this moment in our season than the 1995 Chicago Bulls, I believe, or 96, one of those two, and the 2017 Warriors. Already have a better net rating than those two teams, and those are widely considered the first and second best teams of all time. So it's interesting to look at because that's how good this team is. All right? That's how good this team is and how historic of a season it can truly be purely because of that. So it's going to be fun to see. So like I mentioned, Thunder at 1, Dallas at 2, New York at 3, Houston at 4, Orlando at 5, Warriors at 6, and then Bucks at 7, Hawks at 8. That's kind of how I got it for me. So, but it's going to be interesting. This is going to be a fun in-season tournament. All right? And like I mentioned multiple times in the past, a lot of people don't understand, why the in-season tournament is so important. It's important for some of our guys, like take J. Will, for example, all right? This is really important to him because he's on a rookie contract that's making like $2 million a year right now, all right? Which is a lot of money. I wish I was making that much. But even like after taxes and everything doesn't come out. I don't even know if it comes out to $1 million. So this $500K as a prize, cash money, $500K, it does a lot for some of those guys. It does a lot for two-way guys like Adam Flagler, all right, AJ Mitchell, even Dylan Jones, who was a late second-round pick. These guys, it means a lot to them because of the cash prize. It truly does. So that's why the in-season tournament is so important to some of these people. Who the best defender on the team for OKC? It's either Lou or Caruso. I think everyone can kind of agree with that. Lou or Caruso are the best defenders on the team. Dub's at 3 for me. Dub's been very impressive as a defender, and he can make an all-defensive team this year if he keeps doing what he's been doing. And so, it comes down to Caruso or Dort. They're kind of like a yin and yang thing going on. All right, Dort is very aggressive, physical as a defender, which I absolutely love. Whereas Caruso, he's kind of the minds of the operation, more laid back, kind of calculating every single move. So it's kind of hard to put them at 1 or 2. They're kind of both right there with each other. So I can't really rank both those guys. But and like I get people saying Dort, I get people saying Caruso. All right, I won't say you're wrong for either one. I won't. All right, I would say you're right because it depends on a nightly basis. All right, depends who their matchup is and how they're doing that night. But that's kind of all I got going in this little preview for the in-season tournament. So if you guys have some questions you want me to answer, this is your time now to go ahead and ask. So it's time to answer some questions. All right, time to answer some questions. No, I'm drinking a beverage. People underestimate J-Dub and Shai as well defensively. Shai's a very good defender. He's one of the best two-way players in the league right now. And then Dub, I'm being dead serious when I say it. He has, good potential to make an all-defensive team this year. Very, very good potential. So, what questions do you guys have for me? What questions y'all got? This is, about the time, taking the next, 20 minutes or so, answer whatever questions you guys got. A little mailbag thing, all right? Well, we'll go ahead and call it that, all right? And so, scroll up for an answer. I saw it, yeah. I saw it, Austin. And so, we played the Mavericks most in our history. How many games, though? I would have thought it was the Spurs, but, considering all the, finals matchups we have with each other. I would have thought it was San Antonio we played the most in our history. But like I mentioned, Thunder should win the in-season tournament pretty easily. I say pretty easily. I think the first round matchup is going to be hard. I think we can handle the second round matchup between the Warriors or Rockets. I think we should win, against either team by double digits. And then against New York, it will be a little bit tricky as well. But I do think we match up very well against New York in the championship game. I think we match up well with every Eastern Conference team. And so, but what questions y'all got? What questions y'all got, man? Do you see J-Dub ever evolving into an MVP caliber player alongside Shai? I think he's got a higher ceiling than Shai. That may be a hot take. I'm not sure. LOL. I wouldn't say it's a hot take. It's definitely a take. All right. He does have an insane ceiling purely because of his athleticism that he has. He's an athletic freak. And when you look at his, physicalness, like his actual size as a person, his body, his wingspan, he has the potential to be a very, very good player. I even think he's playing at an all-NBA level at this moment. All right. MVP player. I think he has the potential. But if he stays in OKC, I don't know if that potential for an MVP player would ever truly be realized and seen. I want him to stay in OKC. He's always going to be an all-NBA player. It's kind of like the same thing that we saw with KD and Russ, if you guys remember those times at all. It's kind of the same thing that I see where everyone knew Russ was a fantastic and one of the best players in the league, but everyone was like, he can't be an MVP player. Imagine what he can't do, the same stuff without Kevin Durant, blah, blah, blah. I feel like people think the same thing with Dub. However, I think Dub would be better as a first option. Imagine if, you switch him and Franz Wagner's situation in Orlando right now. Flip those two players. Franz comes to be the second option. Dub go be the first option. They're putting up very similar stats right now where Dub's the second option in OKC, Franz is the first option in Orlando. You put Dub on Orlando as the first option, he's putting up 28 a game. He is. All right. So it's going like I mentioned, it's the same kind of situation with Russ and KD, where KD was always this MVP level player and people slept on Russ, even though he was a top 10, top 15 player in the league every single year with him. It's the same thing going on with Dub and Shai. Dub is very easily playing at a top 15, top 20 player in the league at the moment. And people just don't really realize it because they're like, oh, but he's getting carried by Shai right now. It's only Shai on that team, when it's not. Can we go on a massive win streak once Chet comes back? Let's look at that. When is Chet supposed to come back? So let me look at our schedule and kind of see when he's supposed to come back. Let me go check that out real quick. Let's see. I have him coming back after the All-Star break, if I'm being honest. I don't really want him coming back until then anyways. That gives him, because he's expected to return January 26th. And like you just asked, do you think Chet will be back before the All-Star game? I think he can be healthy before the All-Star game. I'd rather him not play until after the All-Star break, just to keep him healthy. But like Austin was saying, let's do both situations here. All right? I'm going to do two scenarios for that with Chet coming back. First one I'll do is around his expected time to return. Let's just throw out February 1st. It says January 26th on ESPN. Let's say February 1st is when he comes back. That's against Sacramento. Let's look at these teams before the All-Star break. So Sacramento, that should be a win. Milwaukee should be a win. So 2-0. Phoenix should be a win. 3-0. Toronto should be a win. 4-0. So that's at least a 4-game winning streak with them. All right, in my opinion, with him back. So then you got Memphis. I think we can win that game as well. It will be tricky just because they are a young team. They're rising up as well. But I think we should win that game 5-0. New Orleans should definitely win that game 6-0. Miami should definitely win that game 7-0. The Minnesota can also be tough, but also a game that we, realistically should win. Realistically, having Chet come back and go on an 8-game winning streak there, that'd be huge. But even then, low end, if he comes back February 1st, I see us going 6-2 there. All right, 6-2 or 5-3, which is still very, very nice. Then let's go post All-Star break. That's when I want him to return, when I think it would be best for the team. February 21st, all right? Starting off with Utah, easy win. Minnesota, I think that's a win. And then another game against Minnesota back-to-back. Those can be tricky. I think we do drop one of those. All right, just back-to-back games. Ultimately, it's hard to be a team, on back-to-back nights. So I'll say 2-1 there. Then Brooklyn 3-1, Atlanta 4-1, San Antonio 5-1, Houston 6-1, Memphis, I think that's 7-1 right there. I think we beat Memphis in that matchup. Portland 8-1, and then Denver at home, I think we go 9-1, low end 7-3 after All-Star break. So I do think we can go on nice little win streaks and have a good 10-game kind of series with Chet finally back. It also kind of depends what's going on with the team at that moment. Who, is anyone else injured? There's a lot of what ifs that go into that. So we got to keep that in mind right there. Thoughts on Cason improvement. Also, what up, gang? What up, man? Thoughts on Cason improvement. I've been really impressed with him. I've been really impressed with Cason Wallace so far. He started off a little slow because of his shot, which was definitely concerning. All right, let's not beat around the bush there. It was definitely concerning looking at his shot not being as good as we wanted, and I was very concerned. However, he's picked it up in the past 5 games. I think he's kind of finding his spot as that 5th starter now, which I really like in my opinion. Just go full on defensive front and don't let them score, get on an early lead, and then bring in the offensive weapons off the bench like Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins. I like that. I like that kind of mentality, so I really think he should be the starter. And he has potential to make an all-defensive team in the future. I don't think this year, but in the future, for sure, I could see him making an all-defensive team. His improvements have been very nice. Started off a little slow, like I mentioned, offensively, but he's been really picking it up lately, and I'm really proud of the guy. He's been doing really well. What's your ideal lineup with Chet back, starters, and bench? Once he's back, of course. Well, yeah, once he's back, I think the starting 5 should be kind of what we're seeing right now, except switch Hartenstein and Chet right there. I think we go Shai, Dub, Queso, Dort, and Chet. I like that lineup. A lot of defense, all right, and a lot of versatility, what you can do offensively right there. Off the bench, then you got Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe. Who else? I'm missing someone, aren't I? Isaiah Hartenstein, Alex Caruso, and then J. Will. All right, I think J. Will get those minutes over AJ Mitchell once he's back and healthy and showing off what he can do. I think J. Will get those minutes back, and we can truly go bigger off the bench and compete with some teams that have a big bench like Dallas. And so that's kind of my ideal lineup and rotations. I could also see Hartenstein starting and having Cason Wallace being the backup point guard. I could see that. So there's a lot of ways that you could see. Is there a good chance J-Dub will make the All-Star team this season? I think he should. I think he should. The only people that are saying that are casuals that only watch their team. Let's be honest there. The only people that say J-Dub isn't an All-Star are the people that don't watch every single team and every single player in the league, that don't keep up with the entirety. They only keep up with their team. If you look at Dub, how he's playing on the court and the impact he's having with the Thunder, he is a bona fide All-Star player. Bona fide. No doubt about that. Because there's 15 players on each team. 15 or 13, one of the two. That's 26 to 30 players in the league. And you're saying Dub's not a at least top 30 player? Then, you might have to get checked out for something. All right, you might have to go to the loony bin if you're saying he's not a top 30 player in the league right now. Look at the stats he's putting up. He's putting up better stats than Jalen Brunson. People that are saying is a guaranteed all-NBA level player. Putting up better stats than Trae Young when people are saying he, might be an all-star starter. It's stuff like that he's doing better than. You could even say he's doing better than LeBron this year, and I also believe it. Sure, LeBron's averaging like 8 rebounds and 8 assists, all right, and 0.1 point more. Oh, congrats. J-Dub is a better shooter right now. He's more efficient, and he's a way better defender. He's having an amazing season, and I don't even think he should just be an all-star player. I think he should be a third-team All-NBA player. I truly believe that. So, I think he should make an all-star team this year. He won't be a starter, but he should make an all-star team this year. All right, and us as OKC fans have a sort of responsibility to vote as much as possible once all-star voting is out there and get him to the all-star game. All right, we have a sort of responsibility to do that because he has been playing like an all-star, and people got to see him on a national stage like that. Um, Lakers are ready for LeBron to retire. I think everyone's kind of waiting on it. He's been falling off a little bit. He's still a good player, but he's definitely been falling off. His shot isn't as good as it once was. He's still super athletic for his age, but he has been falling off a bit. I bet next year or something is his last season. Can't believe we got J-Dub at 12. Looking back at the draft, it doesn't surprise me. We got him at 12. Honestly, some people were worried if he was even going to be a lottery pick. People were just like, oh, he might just, be an athletic freak that never pans out in the league. So that's kind of, what was going on with J-Dub, why it took him a little bit to get drafted there. But glad it happened. Glad we got him there. Also, don't forget, we got Jang at 11, all right? Who still has potential. I just don't think it's ever going to be realized on OKC, unfortunately. What else you guys got for me? Does Wiggs deserve more minutes? Let me actually look. I'm interested in that. I don't know how many minutes a game he's averaging right now. How many minutes a game is he averaging? He's averaging 21, which I think is about right for him. I think that's about right. He's averaging 9 points a game on 21 minutes per game. Like, that's solid right there. That is solid. I think 20 is around where he should be. So, players I do think deserve more minutes if I'm looking at it. Maybe I don't know. It's tough. Alex Caruso is also at 20 minutes, which I kind of like. I also like Alex Caruso as a part of the closing lineups. I really like that. So it's interesting. I don't really have a problem with our minutes right now. I just want to see Caruso be part of this closing lineup more. I know he's been injured a little bit, but I do want to see him part of that closing lineup, as I do think he's like our sixth best player on the team. So, but like I said, I don't really have a problem with the minutes whatsoever. None at all. Is OKC getting Chet and J-Dub in the same class as one of the most historic NBA history? It could be. It could be, especially for OKC. I think that's definitely the best draft class we ever had, because you got to think we got Chet, Dub, and J Will, three guys that are going to be key contributors for this team come playoff time. Okay, and then also Ousmane Dieng, who has a ton of potential. Just hasn't got any time with the squad to kind of show that off yet. So I definitely think it can go down as the best draft class for OKC in history. It's going to be interesting to see, though. It's going to be interesting to see. No doubt about that in my mind. What else you guys got for me? What else? I didn't realize Dub was 12 picks. Makes getting Topic higher up seemed promising as well. So, Nikola Topic. By the way, I was originally upset with the pick. I'm going to be honest. If you guys were here for the NBA draft stream that we did, I was very upset with the pick at first. Because he's injured. All right? He's injured. He wasn't going to play this year at all. All right? And at first, I was like, we just got Josh Giddey all over again. All right? That's what happened. So, it's interesting to see. But Nikola Topic was originally a top 5 pick, and some people even had him at number 1 overall on the big boards. He's a really good player. He's super athletic, all right? He's young, all right? Great finisher, great passer, decent defender as well. Only problem that he has is his shot. That's the good thing about his injury, though, and, there's a bright side to everything, all right? You got to look at the positives. The positive about his injury and ACL injury is the fact there's only one thing he can really do right now. And that is shoot a basketball, all right? Shoot free throws, all right? Shoot mid-range shots where you don't really have to jump. Work on your form and everything. He might come back and be, our backup point guard next year. He has so much potential. He might find his way into a starting role next year as a rookie. That's how much potential Topic has. The more I look at his, tape, the more I look at how he was, his stats and everything, game film, he looks like a solid player. He looks like a really good player, and it might be a steal of the draft we got him there. So it's going to be interesting to see him play next year and see what he does and see if his shot actually comes along. I do think, because it's very similar to the Josh Giddey draft pick, where neither player really had a shot. Their shots weren't the greatest at all. So it's one of those things looking at like, ooh, we did it all over again. But the thing is, I think his shot is already better than Giddey's was at that point of his career, at that age, because of the free throw percentages. His free throw numbers are higher, and his overall shooting from the field and three-point line were higher as well. So it's interesting to see. From the future, OKC wins 4 titles in a 6-year span. I don't think that. I think we win 2 titles in a 6-year span. All right, I think we can do that. Really like Tobic as a prospect. I can't wait to see him play. I can't either. I'm ready to see him in Summer League this coming off season. Sam Presti is the best GM of all time. I wouldn't go that far. He's definitely the best GM in basketball at the moment, and he can finish as one of the best GMs of basketball of all time. No doubt about that right now. Presti playing chess, he is. He definitely is. Once you get to ring, absolutely. Yeah, definitely the best GM in basketball once we win a ring this year. No doubt. Presti really is amazing. All right, I talked with him the other day before Thanksgiving, and he did tell me that he thinks this is the best team he can ever possibly put together in his career. So that's got to get you pumped up a little bit. That has to get you a little bit pumped up. Be happy with one. Anything else is just gravy. Exactly. As long as we just get one. As long as we get one, I'm fine. Want to see Shai win MVP? I do as well. I also want to see him win a Finals trophy, get a ring, and then also Finals MVP. So, what else you guys got for me? Really wish we got Russ a ring as well. I have a bold prediction that either this offseason he gets traded to OKC, or once his contract is up, he signs a vet minimum or a $4 or $5 million deal, comes back to OKC and retires with us, does a little bit of a retirement tour. I would be willing to say that happens. I also want to see him just put on the Thunder uniform one more time. I want to see that. He's a key part of my childhood memories. I really want to see that. This year's MVP, no doubt. I wouldn't say no doubt. I believe so. A lot of other people believe so as well. It is tough. Giannis is going absolutely crazy right now, along with Nikola Jokic. But if their teams don't do well, you got to take that into account. Nikola Jokic, your team is currently an 8th seed in the West. What's going on? You were playing team. How can we give you MVP? Same with Giannis. Is ooh, Giannis, your team was a 6, 7 seed in the East. Don't know if he can give you MVP. And so, do you think the Thunder are going to have a good pick next year in the draft? I think so. Let's look at the current standings in the NBA. All right. Let's look at the current standings in the NBA. So of course we have Philadelphia's pick. It's protected 1 through 6 though. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. We have Miami's pick. It's lottery protected, so let's keep that in mind. All right. We have a Houston pick swap and a Clippers pick swap. Let's keep that in mind as well. All right, we get to choose between one of those two. And we have Denver's top 6 protector or something as well. We have Denver's pick. So it's going to be interesting to see. So let's go to a lottery simulator. All right. Let me look at that. Let's go to Tankathon and do that right there. Let's sim the lottery. They have Utah winning the pick. We also have Utah's top 10 protected. But it has, Utah finishing 1 right now, Philly finishing 2 in this little simulation. Not really getting a fantastic pick. We can get 16. All right. Right now, it would have us getting 16, 21, and that's it. Those would be our only 2 picks. It's not horrible, but it could be better. Like it's mentioned, Philadelphia is sitting around 4 right now with its record. So there is a way that we can, like in this simulation I just did. Philly dropped all the way down to 8. We got that pick. Boom. Insane right there. Miami, of course, and the Clippers. So really solid picks overall right there because of that. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see and be on the lookout for right there. It's just there's a bunch of what-if scenarios. All right, a bunch of what-if scenarios going into this one that we got to be on the lookout for. No, Denver this year goes to Orlando. I just saw that. We actually had their pick next year. Is what it is. So it's just interesting to look at. I think we can. At the end of the day, I think Clippers are going to fall off a little bit, and that's unprotected. And I think they could end up in the lottery, which would be huge. I think Philadelphia is going to perform a little bit better once Joel Embiid's back, and they'll finish as a play-in team, maybe in a lottery at like 13 or 14. I could see that. So it's going to be insane. It's definitely something that we got to be on the lookout for. Katie went to Golden State on my birthday when I turned 16. I think it ruined everyone's day when he left because that was also on the 4th of July. Some of the MVP frontrunners team is not doing well, so their set doesn't matter that much, except for Russ since it's a historic year. Even then, we finished as what, the 4th seed? Even then, you got to keep that in mind. And a pretty good Western Conference. And so, bring Russ back for real. Imagine him off the bench with Caruso. We'd have the ultimate effort duo. It'd be insane to see. It would be insane to be on the lookout for, no doubt. But what else you guys got for me? What else you guys got? Because I don't really have much else to say. Just kind of answering whatever questions you guys have. All right? Answering whatever questions you guys have. Little mailbag right here. Little mailbag. Nothing else? If not, I'm going to do a little closing remarks. Okay. There we go. We got some questions. If the Thunder have to trade a player, who do you think that should be traded? There's two options for me. Ousmane Dieng is one of those. All right. He has a ton of upside as a trade piece. He just has a ton of potential because of his frame and his skill set. It's just we haven't seen it at the NBA level because OKC hasn't given him much time. I have been really impressed with him when he has played for OKC. Problem is he hasn't gotten all that much time. So I would say him, and then also Kenrich. I think Kenny Hustle would be a trade piece that a bunch of people are going to try to go after this, trade deadline. I think those would be the two players. If we do make a trade them away. And then I think in return, we should really go after Dorian Finney-Smith, in my opinion. I think we should go after him. Did you ever watch that Lost Unbound diss track towards Kevin Durant when he left to Golden State? I did not. Did not know there was a diss track. Huh. Everyone's hyping up for Murray for his moves this offseason just for the Sixers to go 5-15. It is. It's a little bit crazy. Jerry, what's up, man? Has Chet begun rehab yet? I am not sure. I don't have inside information like that. I wish I did. I'm not like one of the beat writers that you see like Clemente and Joel who have a ton of information. I pretty much get my stuff from them as well, and whatever my inside sources are, which aren't a ton. So, but I'm not completely sure. I wouldn't expect him to be good in rehab until another 2 weeks or so. That's why I say don't bring him back till All-Star break. He might have started rehab. I know he's been in crutches for a bit. So it's like we said, we got to be patient with this. All right, we got to be patient. It's been what? Not even 4 weeks since the injury. Got to be a little bit patient with this. So, do you think Thunder should start Dort and Caruso on the Mavs game so that Dort can guard PJ and Caruso can guard Luka? No, start Cason. Start Cason Wallace. Have Dort guard Luka if we do that. He did a good job against him in the playoffs. I don't see any difference there. So I say just do that. Have Cason Wallace guard PJ. Why not? Or you can throw Shai on PJ. I like that as well because of the size. We have a lot of options that we can go PJ Washington. Shai or Dove would be my choice. And then put Cason Wallace and Kyrie. I like that right there. So I say Caruso come off the bench, and we can have, once Dort comes out, you put Caruso in, put him on Luka right there. This deadline, do you think we are going to do a big trade or next offseason? I don't think we're going to do a big trade in a long time. If we do a trade, it's going to be like for a minor move, role player, or, fringe starter guy. But I don't think we're going to make a big trade in a very, very long time. Nets are the teams to trade with. The Nets are the team to trade with. No doubt. They have a ton of players that can be very useful for a bunch of teams. Cam Johnson's a guy I would love to have on OKC. The problem is his contract. It would take a lot to trade him. It would take a lot of matching up players to actually get Cam Johnson. So it's going to be tough. But a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith or Dennis Schroeder, I'd be fine with getting one of those two guys. I would have no problems trading for one of those two guys right there. No problem whatsoever. I think they have a huge impact with this team coming here. So, been at this for about an hour, though. Been at this for quite a bit, huh? What else you guys got? What else? Anything else? Before I get off, call it a night. Make a video for y'all, and then ultimately just go to bed. I might play COD, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do after this. Might play COD, might play FIFA. I'm not sure yet. Also, Cam Johnson seems a good player that Thunder can get. The problem is just matching up contracts. That's the thing. That's the only problem with that is like he's a $20 million contract. Pairing up Kenny and Oos gets us to 14 mil, and then Dylan Jones I think gets us to 16 or 17. Still doesn't quite cover it. We have some space, in cap room, but still, it's just tough to go get him. All right, I really like him. I think he'd fit in very well. It's just tough to actually get him. That's the thing. It's tough. It's extremely tough. So I'm fine if we don't get him. I just think our effort should be Dorian Finney-Smith or Dennis Schroeder. One of the two if we trade for a guy off Brooklyn. And I'm still high on Jonas Valanciunas. Don't get me wrong, guys. Still extremely high. That might just mean, being blinded by him, how much I like the guy. Like how good of a player he is. He's a little bit older, so he's probably not, he's not as good as he once was. But I still really like Jonas Valanciunas. I'm still going to be pushing that narrative for a little bit until the trade deadline gets here. So, Cam Johnson, Schroeder, or DFS, and we get even better. Any one of those guys we do. There's just Cam Johnson, like I mentioned. The contract's so much, it's tough to get. It's tough to actually get him with that contract. So, it's going to be interesting to see. Very interesting to see. But that's all I got for this video. Just closing remarks for you guys. Reminder, we're doing the giveaway. All right? Doing the giveaway. I've said the contents rules before. I showed off the shirt last night in the stream. I know some of you guys were in here and left that for the watch along as well. Giving away 3 Loud Town Collective shirts. About it that I got for you guys right there for the giveaway. But they're nice shirts. I enjoy mine. I really like it. They're usually $38. Giving them away, for free if you want to do that. You get an automatic submission, for the raffle if you're subscribed to the channel. So if you want to enter the raffle for that, you got to hit that subscribe button. And then also, if you want more submissions, it's like a 50-50 raffle pretty much is how we're doing it. Every dollar you donate gets you another raffle ticket entry for it right there. Boom. Those are contest, contest rules. If you win the shirt, there are 2 ways you can contact me so I can get it to your shipping, like where you want it shipped to. All right. If you win the shirt and you need it shipped to you, all right, you can either reach out to me on Twitter. That's literally just my name, at Bryson Akins, or you can join the Discord channel, message me directly on there, and I can get it figured out to you from then. All right. Also, like I always mention at the end of these streams, please take care of yourselves. It is December. Seasonal depression is the thing. Truly, truly, truly take care of you guys, minds and mental beings. I see you guys got some, more questions like Jonas can't defend. That's the issue. I understand that. Rebound and a great passer. Do you think Shai is going to leave OKC for a team like Toronto Raptors? No, not once. All right. Yeah, OKC has been a spoiled. Yeah, I will say that. So, but like I mentioned, please take care of your mental health, guys. That's very important to me. All right. Mental health is a very, very important thing that really need to be talking about more as a society. So if you're ever feeling down, like I mentioned before multiple times, you can always reach out to me. Okay. I'm here for you guys. Appreciate each and every single